All right, so we mentioned Clare Daly and Mick Wallace earlier in the stream. They both appeared outside the hearings today, and they both lit it up as usual. So here is Mick Wallace. He went first. Here's some fire.
The treatment of Julian Assange exposes the Western countries like nothing before. Over nearly 200 journalists that died in Gaza. They don't give a damn about them either. They only care about journalists provided they have them in their pocket and they do what they're fucking told. The persecution and the attempted extradition of Julian Assange is all about stopping the truth. Because they don't want the truth to be out there. Because they behave badly. They're still behaving like colonialists. Their mindset is still colonialist, and that too has been exposed in Ukraine and in Gaza. Western imperialism is still on the march, and Julian Assange had the audacity to expose the fact that they commit war crimes morning, noon and night to achieve their ambitions. Well, you know what? The people of the world are waking up. The people of the world have had enough of them.
No lies there. I mean, the West really is having a major legitimacy crisis now between Ukraine and this, failed sort of quixotic attempt at a NATO expansion that was never going to work. Obviously, Israel-Gaza is exposing where the West actually stands on matters of human rights. And now this. It's just one embarrassment after the next. And they just get worse. And, I think that really has the effect of opening a lot of people's minds, because I think,
for sure,
what really kind of what mobilized a lot of us, I won't speak for you or anybody in the chat, obviously, but what mobilized a lot of us was that 2016 Bernie Sanders campaign, where we kind of looked inward at how much better things could be here in this country. But part of the weakness of that movement was always that it lacked a foreign policy critique, and it lacked a questioning of the basic premises that the West was actually worth maintaining in its current form. And now those premises are just crumbling under their own weight, because we're just seeing L after L after L. And we're just seeing how this empire in its last days is just getting more and more vicious and violent and ruthless.
Well, yeah, it's a wounded animal backed into a corner, and it is lashing out irrationally, of course. There's no question about it. And it's almost like it's the controlled demolition, right? But we are living in the collapse of the United States empire. Look around you. It is happening. There's no question about it. Whether it's controlled or not doesn't really matter. The impact remains the same. And it is going to be bad, especially given the fact that we've seen empires fail before. That's how it's easy to recognize, right? Like that we know what it looks like. But I don't think we've ever seen an empire this heavily armed fail.
Right.
And that is a terrifying prospect, because we're already seeing the effects of that, right? And the way that we think that we can just bully people into submission, and we can just bomb people into submission. So yeah, that's a terrifying thing. But also, I'm really glad that Mick there mentioned the nearly 200 dead Palestinian journalists, because as we were talking about earlier, we're seeing the Assange effect. That's the Assange effect, that Israel can just slaughter. I don't know if it's nearly 200. He said nearly 200. I think it depends on who you ask. The numbers vary wildly, because it's really
well
difficult.
Over 100. I mean, they crossed that a while ago.
A while ago, yes.
Yeah.
So, but shout out to the Denver crew at their protest that they had today. They got all of the journalists, at least that they could find names for, and they got little mini Palestinian flags, and they wrote each individual's name on it, and they put those out at the Assange protest today to memorialize them. And that's because these issues are so intertwined. They're so connected. And it's going to get really bad, I think. I recognize that I am a natural cynic. I think I'm right, though. I think it's likely to get very bad. And I'm not sure that there's even any way to stop it at this point. We're on a pretty awful track right now. Just in general, I'm not talking about Assange, but like just the empire and decline thing. It's not looking good. It's
Absolutely.
just not.
Absolutely not. So now we're going to go to Clare Daly, Mick Wallace's partner in crime. Russell, by the
I
way,
love
got
her.
this video. He got both of these videos that we're seeing, both of Mick Wallace and Clare Daly, shot by Russell Dobular, who's hanging around the chat right now. I see, too jet lagged to stay asleep the whole time.
Is he here?
He's
You
here in the
weirdo.
chat
Go
right
to sleep.
now. He's probably trying.
Yeah.
Probably trying.
Take some melatonin or something.
Yeah, there you go. Here is Clare Daly laying it down outside the Royal Courts of Justice. She came up and spoke directly after Mick Wallace.
Voices of truth, the voices of freedom, and the voices of resistance. And that is why Julian Assange is in that court. Now we know that what is at stake here is not the life of a man, although the life of a man is at stake, and that is incredibly important, and we never lose sight of it for a minute. But more than that, it is the defence of freedom of speech, of freedom of association, a stance against the criminalisation of journalism. That is what we are here. And how absolutely outrageous is it that an exemplary journalist, and we heard the evidence in the court today, a journalist whose work in exposing war crimes, renditions, torture, criminality resulted in those awful things being changed and stopped, that he's the one in prison and the people committing that are walking the streets doing gigs for Israel or whatever the hell Tony Blair does.
I love her so much.
So the chilling effect is here. We know that. They say if Julian is sent to America, the chilling effect will silence other journalists. It has already been here for the past 12 years. So I think it is very fitting that we're here against the backdrop of the appalling atrocities and the live stream genocide in Gaza. We know that also where a civilian imprisoned population is being targeted. We also know the Ukraine war is going on without end because that's what NATO want. And I just want you to remind you of the words of Julian when he talked about the war in Afghanistan. And he said that these wars are about flushing the money from the tax bases of the US and the EU through Afghanistan and back into the bank accounts of the military-industrial complex. It's not about winnable war, it's about endless war. How true he was. And therefore, that voice, that very special voice that he had is needed now more than ever, because it's not just about silencing the peace movement, it's about journalism, it is about silencing the peace movement. So let's remember also that if wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by the truth. You're all here on the side of truth, so is Julian. We'll be all here tomorrow, and we will not rest until justice prevails.
Dude, she makes me want to run through a wall. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to run through a wall after and I love her style too. She comes to the microphone, she goes the fuck off, and then she mic drops and bounces. Like, she just turns around and walks away. And if you've seen her in Parliament, that's what she does. She goes up, she talks, and she's already walking away, like in the middle of her last word, because she's fucking done with you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so good. I love it. I love it.
Please clap.